Hello everyone, my name's Darren. I am a Mirvaso victim. Many of you have probably become all too familiar with the word Mirvaso. It's something that was prescribed to me about a year ago. It burnt my face, it made my flushing and rosacea worse. So I've been having the vBeam, the PDL. This is my second full facial laser session. I've never had any intense light therapy or anything like that. I've only ever had laser. The first time I had a full facial session like this, it healed well. There were good results, but there was a sort of polka dot cheese grater, like a Roy Lichtenstein Ben-Day dots effect, if you see what I mean. I mean, if I get closer, you can see that there are gaps in between the spot treatments that were given to me. But I had a Sharpie permanent marker pen, and I marked out the areas I wanted. And I expected him to fully fill in those areas as though it was a paint by numbers project, but he only seemed to be going for the bits that he could see were red, as opposed to just filling in the whole thing. Because when I go down the gym or go running or do anything which gets my heart rate up, or indeed eat food which doesn't agree with me, which is, you know, the gut inflammation and then the sweating and the flush face, anything like that, the whole thing just seems to go, you know. However, when that happens, I've now noticed that because of the last treatment I had, whenever I got flushed, I could see these little circles where the laser had been, so it did indeed look like pop art. I'm really hoping this heals up, because this was expensive. This was £340. Oh, I should say also I had it 3 days ago. So you're looking at the 3 day mark, and I've got Vaseline on my face to keep the moisture in. £340. I mean, it cost me £200 for an initial consultation, which is basically a 5-minute conversation, and then I paid £245 for a test session, which is, well, it was up to 25 squared centimetres at the clinic I went to, but they only did literally a few spot treatments. And then the next time I went in, I had my nose done. It was just the nose, and then that was 245. And then I had a full facial, a little bit like this. That was 340, and then finally this one, 340. So that's a lot of money. And going back to Mirvaso, now you see, I was a flusher. My face would become unexpectedly red. I couldn't see any reason behind it other than food. I've changed my diet considerably, and I rarely flush in that way now. I don't get the hot red sort of rush of blood to the head sensation. I've cut out junk food and pizza. Interestingly, whenever I have pizza, I get acne all over my forehead. It's like clockwork, it breaks out. So, and to get acne on the forehead indicates gastrointestinal issues. I took this information to my GP, and she seemed to be in agreement, but interestingly, none of the other dermatologists I ever spoke to brought this up. And the second dermatologist I ever saw, back in 2017, April, she says, well, we could try Mirvaso. It's not been on the NHS very long. If you put it on your face, you'll find that when it wears off, your face becomes red. Now, what I didn't quite understand was, she was saying that there's an exacerbation, a rebound. I thought she was saying it's more along the lines of when it wears off. If your face was already red before you put the stuff on, then that redness will return. You know, the medication has worn off, the redness returns. What she meant to say was that your face will blow up like a tomato, it'll be the worst redness you've ever seen, and you'll feel like your head's going to explode. That wasn't clearly articulated, and I used it twice. The first time I didn't get a rebound. The second time I definitely got a rebound. I put the stuff on at 9 in the morning, and at 5 in the afternoon it was just, wow, it was so painful, and my ears turned red as well. So I stopped using Mirvaso after that, but I still continued to get these rebounds. And then after a few days, I had what I could see was permanent redness. Where I'd put the stuff on, you could actually see like a tide mark around the nose, and you know, and that's why I've had the laser in this particular pattern. I never put Mirvaso on my forehead. I never put Mirvaso on my chin, but that was a bit red anyway, so I had the laser there. But it's been a case of having laser to undo the damage that was done by a medication that I would have been best off without. And I've looked into Mirvaso, the active ingredient being Brimonidine, and there is a lot of controversy surrounding it. And not only that, Galderma, the company that make Mirvaso, don't seem very receptive to criticism. There seems to be a lot of gaslighting of patients. Dermatologists are certainly more interested in covering their backside than treating our faces when it comes to Mirvaso, so it seems. They don't seem fully aware of what they're actually giving to their patients. I'm sure Mirvaso like to beat the drum and say it's an effective remedy, but based on what studies? What was the sample size of those studies? Was that data manipulated? These are the questions I have. But for the time being, laser seems to be answering my prayers, because if this heals up the way the last session did, I would like to hope that my skin is as near as damn it clear. You know, there may be a few pockets of redness left over where the laser didn't quite get, you know, excuse me. Well, that can always be covered with a bit of tinted moisturiser, or I could use the LED mask which I bought on Amazon earlier this year. That's low-level light therapy, so I'll be using the mask. Maybe that will remove some of the residual redness once this all heals. I mean, the last time I had this done, I was going out in public. I mean, I was putting on my factor 50 sunscreen, but I was going out in public. I didn't care, because I knew it would eventually wear off, and I'd be the better for it. If you do have vBeam, laser, PDL, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. Make sure that you wear something like this if you do go out, because I'd hate to think what happens if somebody gets caught out on a particularly bright and sunny day with this. It might not heal the way you want it to. I've been keeping it moist. I've been using the Vaseline, and when I go to sleep at night, I try and sleep on my head. I tend to sleep on my side usually, but I don't want to be putting pressure on these bruises, so I try and sleep on my back, which is difficult for me. I'm also taking ibuprofen and paracetamol every 4 or 5 hours. That should help get the swelling down. I also won't be doing any exercise or weightlifting for a while. That's something that I tend to enjoy doing, but for the next, I don't know, month at least, I'd say there'll be nothing like that, because when I do exercise, my face gets hot and sweaty. I feel a rush of blood to the head. Don't want to be doing that when all this business is trying to heal. So I've got to take it steady. No alcohol either, but that's okay, because I've been virtually teetotal for a couple of years now. I don't smoke or anything like that, don't eat junk food, drink lots of water. I'm really careful. You've got to fight this on several fronts, really. But I really do hope it heals, because if you're anything like me, you'll know what it's like to be flushing constantly and all the time. It makes you neurotic and distracted, and you can't really get on with living life when you've got this going on. And people do comment on it. You know, I've been in pubs and clubs and bars. When people are drunk, they let you know exactly what they think about your face, and they try and pass it off as a joke. But I don't think they realise how frustrating it is. So Let me know what you think. If you had vBeam, PDL, laser, that's all the same thing. I'm making a distinction now from light therapy, IPL. Has anybody ever had really serious repercussions from it? That's what concerns me. When just one more thing. When I was at the clinic, the doctor asked, I wanted him to redo my nose on the lower setting, and he said, "Well, that to me looks okay. I'm not doing that." And we had a discussion about scarring and fat loss. I brought up those two things, and I said I have thought carefully about it, but in the end I decided to err on the side of caution and leave the nose out of it. But he did say these areas which haven't been treated, he says, don't worry about those because they will actually benefit from the spot treatment. So I'm not sure what he was trying to say. Is he saying that these areas, sorry, the light's reflecting in a strange way, like these areas here which haven't been treated, will they benefit from the spot treatments? I would have preferred it if he'd filled in everything to the point where there's no skin showing, you know. But I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. The cynical part of me makes me think he's trying to spin out my treatments over a longer period because he knows it's, I guess, money for old rope. But I'm not a dermatologist, but he is a businessman. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.